with a chance to take the lead. Kaepernick, end zone, Crabtree, broken up, picked off. This game is over.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to 12 Minutes Every Time. I'm Mike Bailey. This is Ryan Bailey. And we are here to review the Week 7 win over the Arizona Cardinals, 20-10. Big win, moves Seattle to 4-2. Niners are 5-2. That means we're a half game back, and we play them on Thanksgiving weekend. All right, as usual, this is 12 minutes. We're going to start the timer now. All right, Ryan, real quick. We were -3 in turnovers. We allowed 2 sacks, no DK, no Charbonnet, no Evan Brown on our offense. If I would have told you that without knowing what was going to happen, I would assume, I'm sure you would assume, that we would have had the L. We would have took the loss.
Yeah, definitely. I hate the turnovers, right? But, division games, tough. It's a division win, dude. And that's all that matters. Like, we got to get those wins. We got to stack those up. Gets us ahead of the Rams, a little bit further ahead and gets us closer to the 49ers, which I'm glad they lost.
Right, yeah. Niners lost 2 in a row now. The Rams slipped up last week and lost a home game against the Steelers. If it was at Pittsburgh, it wouldn't have been as big, but it was at home, which hurts them. It was a home win for us against a team that was 1-5. This is a game we should have won. Probably should have scored more than 20 points with all the negatives that happened, the turnovers. I know Pete's not happy about that, but it doesn't matter. Huge win, moving forward. In general, we look positive. Our defense looks great, and we could become elite on the defensive side.
Yeah, Devin Witherspoon had another great game. He had a pick, he had a sack. Both of them were overturned by, bad penalty calls. They were just bad calls. He's just out there. He's got another pass deflected. Like, that's awesome. He just still looks like a stud. He's really out there playing big time game and having a lot of swagger, and I love it. It was really great to see.
So if we're 4-2, this is his 5th game, and the first game wasn't too shining, but ever since then, just a shining star, just exploded off the map.
Yeah, sometimes I think it's just you got to settle into it, right? Like, it's your first game. He just was all over the place, just running around, and clearly, they took advantage of, a rookie's first game.
Yeah, and high expectations coming from a 5th overall pick.
But there were some, watching Bobo get that touchdown, baby. That was awesome. And JSN getting his first touchdown. I mean, it was great to see them utilize him in a certain way. And it was nice to see that, they can step up if guys get a little banged up. That's awesome.
Yes, I was going to mention that later, that it showed depth, and that our young players can fill those roles and they have confidence. This team does seem to understand where it's at and that it could get better, but at the same time, they're competitive. And if we keep moving forward like this, we'll make the playoffs and we could be competitive in the playoffs. We're still not maybe up there with the teams like Buffalo or Kansas City. I don't know what the score is tonight for Buffalo, but there are a few teams that are elite, and then we're a little above that. We're maybe with Detroit.
Yeah, well, I think we're better than Detroit. We beat them. I think that our defense, it could be elite, and if we can have an elite defense, and we've already seen that our special teams is up there as elite, right? And now if our defense is coming up that way, I saw some stats that we're been just as good as the 49ers defense over the last, 4 weeks. Like, we're just as good. And that's surprising to all of us, but it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's what we want to be up there, because everybody knows the Niners defense is elite, and it has been elite for a couple of years now. I do believe I read that Witherspoon is now the highest graded PFF defensive back in the league. So that only 5 games. Yeah. So that's nice. Paired with Woolen, we probably have the best defensive backfield in the league, to be honest, with 2 Pro Bowl safeties and 2 Pro Bowl, or Witherspoon looks to be Pro Bowl-ish defensive rookie of the year at the least as our corners. So it's pretty exciting.
And then, we got our Bobby Wagner just dominating the middle of the field. Brooks looks amazing. He had a solid game. It's not easy going up against a running quarterback, and I thought they did a pretty good job. Other than that one run that he had for that touchdown, which really soft tackling by Woolen on that one. But, he'll learn from that. He'll get better. We can't give up that sort of stuff when we play up against, like, the Eagles. That Jalen Hurts will beat you badly with that. But, other than that touchdown run by them, I thought we did a great job going up against a different style of offense, right, where we're going against Goff, going against Stafford. Like those guys throw the football. And now we're up against running quarterback, and I thought we played really well against that.
Yeah, that was nice. And you're right. In the NFC, Hurts is the top guy, and then in the AFC, Mahomes and Allen can still beat you with their legs. Mahomes not as much, but Allen, they run the ball with him. You're right. Facing that type of quarterback is different than facing Stafford, who's your typical drop back quarterback. And back to depth. I love that these young players can step up and fill the role. JSN had the most targets out of any receiver we had. Bobo, as you mentioned before this podcast, had the most snaps out of any receiver on our team. So without Metcalf, that's huge. That's a big to have 4 wide receivers that Gino's comfortable with and can rely on is amazing. And they're so young.
Yeah, and we had a successful screen pass. Like, we're not a screen team, right? We're a play action bootleg team. That's just who we are. But with Bobo out there blocking, and he's such a phenomenal blocker, that screen pass was successful. It was up for a first down. Jason caught it and moved up the field really quickly. It was awesome. I was so shocked when it happened. I was like, oh my God, we had a screen pass. And it worked.
Who was the screen pass to, a receiver or a running back?
JSN. It was to JSN. Yeah. To the right flat, and Bobo was out there just blocking great. And it's like, okay, here we go. Like, this is what we need to be successful. Have more Bobo.
And was it just them two, or was there a third blocker out, or a second blocker out there?
There was a second blocker out there. I believe it was
probably one of our tight ends.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. So we rely so heavily on our tight ends. I mean, we did this week again. We had a lot of tight ends out there helping with the block, right? And that's why I think Gino had more time to throw the football and had a little bit better protection out there. But that's great and all, but we still need to be dynamic. So now wondering if we'll ever play 4 wide receiver sets or 3 wide receiver sets with Bobo. Now they got to worry that Bobo can go out there and block, and we obviously know he's got great hands with his, toe tap touchdown. I mean, now there's another dynamic to this offense that's going to need to be explored and have to be utilized.
You're right. More wrinkles in a sense, because if we do go 4 wide receiver sets, we could probably still run the ball if we run it towards Metcalf or towards Bobo, as they're the better blockers, opposed to Lockett and JSN. That's a really good point. Anything else? Go ahead, Tucker.
I love that Bobo and DK are the same age, 25.
Bobo's 25? I thought he was 23. He's 25? That is old.
He can't be 25. I saw that today. And I was
no, he's 23. He's 23.
He's got to be 23. He's got to be 23.
Yeah. I looked it up. He's 23. Yeah, exactly. But that's because Puka on the Rams is 23.
No, he says he's 25. Yeah, I looked at it. I Googled it right now. That's wild. That's wild. So DK's been in the league for a while now.
4 or 5 years. Yeah. So
and I still, we still need DK. Like, we still need all these weapons. Like, still having no DK was, something. I would have liked to have had him over not having. I mean, and but knowing that, having. Us still be able to run the ball, even though Charbonnet was out, right? Like, that was still great. Kenneth Walker I think he had like 26 rushes for 105 yards. That's awesome, dude. Like, he could take the whole load. That's great. So I feel like we've got more weapons on offense than people realize, and we're slowly seeing it throughout the season that we can win in different ways. And I just want to keep going that way. It's next man up, it's next guy doing it. And that's what we saw. Other than like a few, bad snap. Gino threw another pick in the red zone, which is bad. And DJ Dallas's fumble. Those are all bad things. But we never felt like we were behind or we were in too much trouble with those types of stuff. We still felt like we were dominating,
or we didn't panic at any moment.
Yeah.
And that's nice. That's nice, and that's nice moving forward to have that comfortableness. And you're right. The more wrinkles, the better. The more wrinkles in our offense, the better. Then it just comes down to the coaching staff presenting a good game plan for whatever defense we're facing, and making sure that game plan is successful, and that it's successful not only in their matchups and all that, but on the field with Gino and all them actually completing that. So it's really good. We only have a few minutes left. I would say that one thing that really helped us is that they did have that Dobbs. It was a little difficult, and Dobbs had that great run, but they only scored 3 points off of our 3 turnovers. So that was good. So maybe that goes back to our defense once again, stepping up, being in control, understanding it. I think, as you mentioned earlier, Brooks was good and Wagner was good. Brooks had 3 tackles for losses, but I just think that combination alone, they have so much confidence in that area. As I mentioned before, we might have the best DBs in the league, but we also have a good linebacking core and a good front line as well, D line.
Losing Nwosu was really tough. But as we're filming this, we've got Frank Clark. So I think I'm hoping that he can just fill that role right in there. And to be honest, Frank Clark is supposed to be a better player. I don't know what was happening over there in Denver. But Frank Clark is really talented. We loved him when he was here. I wish he would have stayed and we didn't have to trade him away, but we traded him and we got some extra guys for that. And we built something really, really great during that time he was gone. And I hope he can come in and help us with that.
You're right. I wish my memory was good enough to know what we got out of that trade in the first round for the first round pick, but I can't.
Yeah.
All right, we got 1 minute left, Ryan. I know it's late where you are. You're in New York, so we'll wrap this up. Special teams, 1 minute left.
Well, I still think, DJ Dallas is having a Pro Bowl, year, right? Other than that fumble, he's playing great, and I think he'll clean that up, right? Like, I just think he got a little pretty out there. He was just trying a little too much. He was like stuck. He was like waiting, and then just like was gonna go, and guy just punched that ball right out. But we're winning field position, and as we've been with Pete now for so long that we know field position is the most important thing, or one of the most important things during this game, right? Is being able to always start in good positions, and then when you don't get that, you don't get that push of the football, and you got to punt. That Dixon's gonna put them in a bad situation, tight, right? Going 90 yards down the field to score is a lot harder than going 60 yards down the field to score. So if we're having 60 to go down, and the other team's having 90. We are in a better position to win these football games. And that's what I love about our special teams. Really doing great, and I love it.
I love that point. That's great. And I'll wrap it up with this saying that if we didn't have the 3 turnovers and we had all this good field possession, we probably would have scored more than 20, I assume. And it would have been a little more dominant run. But anyway, 4-2, huge division win. We're moving on to Cleveland at home, which is great. Before, I believe we go to at Baltimore the following week, so that might be a little tougher. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always. This is 12 minutes every time. I'm Mike Bailey. This is Ryan Bailey. Let's go Hawks.
Go Hawks, baby. Woo!